Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Historical Preservation Commission, March 4th, 2025, Fat Tuesday. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Dotson,
Present.
Commissioner Goings,
Present.
Commissioner Dietrich,
Present.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Present.
Commissioner Rowland,
Present.
Commissioner Amos,
She is out sick. Excused.
excused, Commissioner Gunnelson,
Present.
Commissioner Hunt,
Present.
Commissioner Bianchi,
He is running late. He will be here.
okay, and Commissioner Watkins. We do have a quorum.
All right. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody has looked at this agenda for this evening. Could I have a motion to approve it?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as written. Goings?
Second, Hunt.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. The minutes from the last meeting, which was February 4th, everybody had them sent to them by email. May I have a motion for that also, to approve them?
I move the minutes be approved.
Second, Dietrich.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved for that meeting. No citizens' comments this evening. We did have last time. Standing Committee report by Commissioner Hunt, please.
Thanks, Rick. Excuse me. I just have a few things tonight. I was able to get in touch with Dennis Murray, who is, I don't know if it's his official title, but he's the groundskeeper. He's affiliated with Mount Zion Cemetery and Cornerstone United Methodist. And we were able to add 7 new individuals to our list. So that puts us up to 184 total now. So Dennis is a good guy. I've been in contact with him a couple of times. So hopefully as individuals are buried who are veterans in that particular cemetery, we will keep that communication going. So again, we're up to 184 now veterans documented in O'Fallon cemeteries. Secondly, on February the 6th, I was able to drive by the Guthrie Burying Ground, which is out off of Baybrook Court in O'Fallon. I talked to a resident residing in the neighborhood who thought that the cemetery was supposed to be taken care of by the city. That was not the case. It's actually the Homeowners Association that's responsible for that cemetery, but it is in disarray. So I haven't got an update yet or had a chance to go back out there to see whether or not any improvements had been made, but there were trees fallen and the fence was knocked over and it just didn't look very good. I think, Rick, you were out there not too long ago and it was actually in good shape, so it's pretty fallen by the wayside here recently. And then the last thing that I have to report is I know we've been trying to advertise what we're trying to do with the veterans, and O'Fallon sends out its Friday email blast, and I noticed that it is, even though that it's in there, it's kind of buried in the news in brief, which is at the very end of the newsletter, so it's easy for people to kind of overlook. So I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know if we could do this or not, but I was just wondering if we could possibly put the entire list as it stands in the newsletter, kind of with the heading, you know, do you recognize anybody on this list? And then that maybe would draw people's attention to it rather than just a little small blurb about it. And then people would maybe read through that list and go, oh, wow, I didn't know the Healed was buried here in O'Fallon, or, you know, and maybe try to draw attention to it that way. So I thought maybe I'd ask Amy if that was something that maybe if I sent you the entire list and see if we would generate any more interest that way.
Yeah, it's all online, so it's not like it's printing on paper or anything, so. yeah,
Right,
I
it's
think
not
that would be
taking up
great.
any space, it's just,
Yeah.
I could send you the entire list as is in a PDF, and then, you know,
Yeah, and
I
I'll
know-
get,
I
I'll
can-
send it over to
Yeah.
Tony's group.
see if they want to, you know, I know they like to word it a certain way and kind
Sure.
of approve that and stuff, but I figured, you know, it wouldn't hurt to try.
All right, thank you. Yeah, just send it over and I'll make sure it gets to the right person.
Okay, great. And that's all I have unless there's any questions.
I do have some questions, Commissioner. On the Guthrie burial ground, I know the city sent somebody out there to do a citation to the homeowners association. Is that a 30, 90 day that we should go back and check it out? Or do we also need to go to the homeowners association?
I will have to follow up on that. I know that they did go out and they did issue citations, but I'm not sure what the next step would be. So I can follow up and let you know.
Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, because that brings up the, on the new harvest development too. There is, that's going to be turned over to the homeowners association. And now that that's being built, do we need to just show up at a meeting and talk to them about the preservation of the cemetery? I know as the city was taking over that property, that there is probably maybe 3 burials that have been put in there, and I would say that they were actually in urns, okay? It was a family plot. And actually, when we went out there, a bunch of us went out there and we found that cemetery, they were on top of the ground, and we asked them to be buried in the ground or at another cemetery, but I'm sure that's where they're at. So I will have to add those names, probably work with Pittman Funeral Home, they're the ones that did the funeral, and add those names to that registry that are buried out there. And the Walker Cemetery is what it is.
And I did see that it looks like in the routing of the road, they are going to fully avoid the site, as I think you saw too, but I can ask I know that they had suggested you follow up with county, and I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and actually, I just found out that that area there on Dyer Road actually was what they call the little shanty town. I will be going to the County Historical Society tomorrow, and I will look that up and find out more about it, because some of that might be coming into the city. Part of it's county. The one building that's the old was the old house is there. That's county, but some of the other areas might be city yet. Become the city of O'Fallon. So I will check on that. But that's all I have, because I need to update your stuff
Okay.
with, and I just got to verify those graves are out there, and maybe I can have Pittman add it to find a grave.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Hunt. Commissioner Rowland on the Education Subcommittee.
I have a report this month. Actually, Nicole Royer, I'll get you her spelling, Amy. And I talked this weekend because with her being in school, it's a lot harder to match our hours. And we came up with what I'm calling intentions or results that we want for the Education Committee. One is to ensure that Fort Zumwalt School District students understand the rich and diverse history of O'Fallon. In the future, we hope to be able to reach out to the other 4 school districts, St. Charles, Francis Howell, Wentzville, and possibly Orchard Farm, even though they're way out there. Ideally, we'd like to bring in the Catholic and Christian schools. Mm-hmm. I want every student that lives in this area to be able to tell where Fort Zumwalt got its name. You know, Catholic and Christian schools may not care, but we need to make sure that
They do.
So, and number 2, we plan to accomplish this with the assistance of community members who are interested in local history, to include, but not limited to, St. Charles and Wentzville's historical societies, veterans organizations, and any other historical groups, for example, Daughters of American Revolution, to assist with helping us build this curriculum. I want to get in contact. I have a contact for the elementary, and Nicole was going to reach out to her because I think my emails have been going to her spam or her junk. Reach out to the curriculum advisors and try to match what the students are being taught each year. Last year, I believe it was American Indians, and we could have really helped out with explaining how the Zumwalts and the Heels worked with the Indians. Westward expansion, the Lewis and Clark expedition. There is so much history here. I could write a history book, but whatever. And then the subcommittee is going to try to meet once a month during the school year and hopefully have something by September of this year to actually put in practice. And I will give this to Amy.
And
Well, thanks,
Cheryl, I
Cheryl.
wanted to just say that the grant that we put in, what the pre-application for the grant, if that does go through, that's what the intention is for those 18,000 brochures, is to be something that goes to the school so if you want to write a book, you can start with a brochure. and we'll have you start with that, but that will be, hopefully, I think we've got a good shot at it. I hate to jinx it by saying that.
No, we got a good shot, I believe.
But yeah, if we were to get that, that's something that your committee would definitely be able to run with.
I will definitely start.
Okay.
Is that going to be on the test?
It will be, and it'll be on your permanent record.
Oh, no.
Well, well, Amy just touched on the pamphlets. I'll go ahead and mention it, that we have a pamphlet that has maybe five or six things on it. But that's one thing we'll eventually have to do on the education thing. Everybody's gonna have to take some historical record in O'Fallon and do a write-up on it and make sure we don't miss anything. So when these pamphlets, we don't know if it's gonna be six or nine or 8 or 9. We don't know the size yet, or even the posters, but we're going to have to write on everything, and we need to remember that we have Salt River, which is one of the original roads in Missouri, Salt River, and then we have the Boonslick Trail, which we could borrow off of Janet's writings on the history of Boonslick Trail and put that on there, because eventually,
Isn't that Salt Lick Road?
Salt Lick Road,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, Salt Lick. Yeah, sorry, Salt Lick. But I know Janet did the writings for that historical society, and I think that we would like to get that in there, because that possibly, from what I understand, that name is going to be recognized as Donald Trump Way if it goes through the state of Missouri, that Highway D section of.
Highway D to Highway T.
Yeah, so but we got to put all that into place, and actually it's a lot of work, guys. It really is. So we need to look into that. On the designation subcommittee, that's this is, I guess, from Janet, John, and Tim and Amy, when the older days, that we need to eventually get everybody together and go over these houses that we have
Yeah.
and work toward that.
And by the way, we nominated what is now Goodwood,
Right.
and it was approved. And at the time, it was McGurk's, and we never could get permission from McGurk's to put our plaque up. But maybe the Goodwood Brewery people will, yeah, I know, Jan, you spent a lot of time trying to catch the absentee landlord on that one, and we never were successful. So I wonder if the new owners would be interested in.
They are. I
think
talked
they
to the
would be,
management.
yeah.
That's already done and approved, if I recall.
Yeah, I think there's even some of John's
Rick,
files
what are
have
the
that.
parameters? Because the building that Sharon has for our office right here on Civic,
Yeah, the Sears home.
Is that the Sears home?
It's a Sears.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that address is, but if it's on here, it's already been researched.
115.
115.
Yeah, we researched that one.
Yeah, because all three of them, I think, there's three of them right in a row down here.
Yep, there's the two that are
Yep.
townhouses, duplexes, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And then, because Sharon said it 1923, and she's tried really hard to keep it historically correct.
Would that, on the Goodwood, is that something we should ask our council lady to see if she would like to set that up?
Well, and as somebody who goes into Goodwood several times a week, because it's one of the few places that I can eat, I've talked to the general manager there, and they are really excited. They would really love to do some kind of big event surrounding anything that we do with that.
Okay.
We have the plaques, so I think we never did award them the plaque because they didn't want it.
I mean, we had to
Yeah.
get permission to put it up, and we couldn't get anyone with the authority to give us that permission.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that I'll be there sometime this week, but at the very least, I have a meeting there with the O'Fallon Chamber, and so I can ask Zach again next week when I see
Because
him.
I would like to see us put our plaque on before the historical landmark comes up, because that's going to be a big day. Because everybody wants, we want to make that big for them.
I
They put a lot of work into it.
nominate that we call it a soiree. Yeah, we're going to have a soiree around that plaque.
But Linda, you will follow on that, Councilman?
Yes.
You will thank you, Ragsdale. Let me put that in so we have that. Okay. Bylaws and approval. Okay, our last meeting, we approved the bylaws. And the bylaws, what was changed was the time, back to 7 o'clock. Back to 6 o'clock.
It was 7 now.
It was at 7, but we've been meeting for 6 forever.
Like 10 years.
So we corrected the bylaws, and then we corrected on the times we meet.
Right, and
And so
then,
that all passed, and it had passed through the council. So we are good on the council and the city.
it was a great little exercise in knowing that process, so if we do decide, we need something else changed in the future, we know kind of how to do it. I sat with the city clerk, because, it was very regimented on how you get this done, and it goes to council and everything, so I think that would be nice if we do want to, if we ever have the need to add anything, I think it'll be easier next time.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, there was a webinar, Historic Resource Survey and Unlocking the Foundations of Preservation. It's a recorded training that's available, and it's online through, Amy had sent it out an email. Anybody that's interested in learning about this historic resources and survey, especially the survey part, these are a lot of bigger facilities than what we have, but it's still resourceful. So if you are interested, please reach out to Amy.
I got a question.
Yes.
Amy, how do we go, because we're obligated to do training, how do we go about recording that we've seen the video?
If you send it to me, I can put it, I have a little spreadsheet, I track everybody's training, so when we have like presenters here, I count that and, record the time.
So just like I did this online video,
Oh.
I just send you an email that I did it?
Yep.
Okay.
And I will add it to your training on the spreadsheet.
It goes on my permanent
It
record?
goes on your another permanent record, it's gonna happen.
Excellent.
And it's time, you put the time down too, don't you?
Yeah.
The hour or 2 hours, whatever it is you take, yeah. And anybody that does any extra research.
And-
You already have yours in, don't you? Art.
What's our requirement, what's our, per year, 2 hours?
I think it's an hour or two, it's
Yeah.
very minimal. I think it is an hour because when Ethan was here and he did his presentation, it counted as like half an hour, and that was half of the requirement, so,
And Janet finished up the other half.
yep.
Yep.
So we're pretty good.
Okay, with number 6, we'll go to the Healed Home National Registry discussion. Commissioner Watkins, would you like to talk about that?
Well, we spent the afternoon at the History Museum, not the History Museum, but the museum that has all the archives and things. And it was just interesting because
You gotta hit the button.
can you hear me now?
You're kind of, here, I'll hold the button.
Yeah, just press it. Just press it.
We went to the museum across from Forest Park, and I know you called in and said we needed things on the Healed Home, and we walked in the door, and they had them all there for us. It was really interesting. So we went through a lot of things. I found a lot of history and things that was interesting. And then also with this historic site application, I've seen them before and helped fill them out. So I went to the museum at Warrenton, where I used to be curator, and pulled out the ones that they'd sent for the Schoengert House to find out how much we needed to have and what kind of writing and things like that. So we kind of know, I hope we know what we're doing. But when we went to the History Museum, that was very interesting.
I recommend anybody going down there. That if you want to go. We just picked one subject, and it used to be an old Jewish synagogue, and it's just beautiful. But and then Janet asked a question, and the curator went over there and grabbed these books, two big old stacks of books, and she just thought he'd give her something little to look at, and it was all these books of everything that's already been done, But we just went and just did one subject, one family member, the Healed Home, the Healed family, and that was kind of interesting because they had everything down. We've been working with them for 2-3 months now, and one of the key things I've been looking for in some of the literatures that I've read is that the History Museum was originally the Jefferson Building. And when the Jefferson Building was built, the frontiersmen, the pioneer families, the Healed Home, the Healds and the Wells and the Aldrains, I believe, there was a bronze plaque that used to hang up in that Jefferson building. And I've been looking for that plaque, what happened to that plaque. And nobody seems to know what happened to that plaque. It's not in either museums. They don't know where it is. And so I'm still trying to look at it because it's supposed to be a really nice bronze plaque dedicating the Healds in there and what they've done for the state of Missouri and actually Fort Dearborn and everything else, being a pioneer family.
Then the drains,
Yeah.
all.
They were all
things
part of
together
they're
there.
part of
Right.
all the Wells family. They all married to Wells, and that's how they all got here. But we ran across some really interesting pieces. We ran across their military stuff that was confirmed that they were in the Revolutionary War, they were in the War of 1812, and they were in the Confederacy.
The whole booklet on Fort Dearborn too, where they were injured.
Yeah, everything on injured, and then
And the nice thing about it is you don't have to pay for copies. You just say, I want this and that, and they go get it. So it was a wonderful experience.
It was a wonderful. There's a lot of information down there. There's actually one of the daughters of Darius Hill. Adafai was her last name. She was the DAR. She was also the Confederate Women of 1812. She was also when she went anywhere, Chicago, anywhere, they laid out the red carpet for that woman. Because she was dead. And she was a school teacher here in O'Fallon. And she actually went to school here, and she was baptized at Mount Zion school, or church, when it was there. Very interesting information. You go down there and you see, and hopefully, I don't know if they do tours. We'd like to do tours. Anybody know if they do tours down there? I don't know. It's just beautiful. But we have a lot of information to work on this Healed Home and their significance of why they built the building and what they did. Were there changes made? And one of the stories we've heard too that we did find the information on was that they were related to, Darius Hill always talk about him being related to a president. And we found that letter when they would have been related to President John Adams and President Quincy Adams. And we did find that literature. And we actually found out where they were doing the history background and writing out everything. Back to Thomas, I think it was Heald. Apparently, he might have been married twice, but we got to do more on that. So that is it on the. And all we got to do is make believe we have to sit down with Amy and write that out, or it can be typed out. But I do want to say this, that part of that is Rob Lammy. Amy went to Rob Lammy, and he actually did all the coordinates for us. So we have everything at the back part of all the Heald home, which brings in the cemetery that we needed to do for that, which actually puts that in the original 10 acres of property that is on that deed I have.
Yeah, he was really gracious enough to do that, and he works in our GIS department, so he has access to like the coordinates and all the longitude, latitude things that we need for that. And I do have a question on, so the scope of the application, as far as we are looking at the Heald, we've all agreed that architecturally, yes, it's important, but that its significance lies in who lived there and the history of the people who were occupants there. In that application, do you write like a historic narrative? Like, and is there, like, you have to have so many pages or cover so many years? How does that work?
Historic narrative would be 1 page, as much history as you can get in there about why that is significant. Then there's a 2nd page that is for instance, the tornado hit the house. So you would want to put the picture in of the tornado hitting the house and what you did to redo the house. Is there walnut staircase, things like that, things that would make the house stand out. So there is 2 pages behind that too. And also the plot. There's several things of the plot too.
Which would bring in the cemetery, which we need to have a survey done. Ethan sent us a person to contact, but I think we do it within a 30-day period before we have to sign everything out. Right. So we'd have to coordinate and get a hold of that lady in Jeff City, and get that survey done of the cemetery.
Is it, so she has a person that does the survey, and it's part of the application process, or is it just something that we do and the city would pay for, or how does that work?
Well, Ethan sent me somebody to talk to. So, but then it said there's a time limit. Do you know anything about that?
National Registry?
Yeah.
I know a little bit. I don't know off the top of my head what the timeline is, but there is a certain amount of time in which you have to have the documents and all the evidence presented and submitted before your application goes stale.
So that's why they had the 30 days in there. He had that 30-day for the lady. I think it's a lady. The contact on doing the survey for us. Now I know we could have went for the grant survey too, but that was like we only had a day for that, so we couldn't do that. But really, thank Rob for his work. We really appreciate that.
I'll tell him he has to watch the meeting from tonight.
Okay.
Rick, the DAR is doing plaques for the fort and the Heald House, correct?
Yes, that's been, yeah, I was going to bring that up at the end because
Okay.
that's April, I think.
April 27th.
Yeah. Okay, with that, I'll leave that to Mr. Goings, Commissioner Goings on his traffic signal program.
Hello. So if I can take you back a few months, we have a total of 5 traffic boxes that have been wrapped or complete. They're city-owned. So that's 5 of the 38 that are city-owned. We're looking for more applications if anyone has any ideas. But I've been working with MoDOT to get permission to do it on state-owned traffic boxes. So that includes anything that's on Highways K or Highway N. So that opens the door for some boxes, first of all, a lot more, but some that are in higher profile areas.
Two, right?
We have approved as a commission back in November 2 applications, one at Highway K and Veterans, and one at Highway K and South Outer 364. Those are approved. What we're waiting on is MoDOT and the city have to sign an agreement, a memo of understanding with each other, so that when we as a commission approve an application, MoDOT recognizes that as the authority. So I was told today that Andy Turek of MoDOT was supposed to talk with Mike Snowden about that. So that was the last I knew, is some language. We marked up the contract and sent that back to MoDOT, and MoDOT just wanted to have a conversation about our motivation. So I think that's just all about recognizing our commission as an official city commission. So I wouldn't think that'd be too controversial, but apparently that's not an easy thing to do. So that's the last I knew.
And I did speak with Mike probably about 4 o'clock, and he had said he was going to call Andy.
Oh, okay,
He
good.
hadn't heard back from Andy, so I think that they're trying to connect. And I do think that there was some discrepancy in some of the language that we just wanted to make
Okay.
sure was ironed out. But I know it's in process, so hopefully we'll get some answers soon.
And as far as MoDOT told me, we'd be the first to execute this program that they started about a year ago when they heard about our local traffic box program. So technically, anyone in the state of Missouri can use this program now, fill out an application and do state-owned traffic boxes. Their attitude was, it's better than a dumpy silver rusty box, so why not? So hopefully that gets some attention and other communities do it too. So we're excited to get the first 2 done. So as soon as that agreement gets signed, it's go time. So we can get 2 boxes there completed. And then I'm going to start walking up and down Highway K, knocking on every business, asking them if they want to, donate to get a box. So that's it.
All right, thank you, John, for that. And for people who don't know that, when you get a box, the business actually buys a box for 5 years, gets it wrapped.
Well, they don't own the box.
They don't own the box, but they buy they do the wrap.
We partner with the O'Fallon Community Foundation, so
That's what I wanted
it
to
is tax deductible.
Yeah.
It's a 501c. They donate the money to the O'Fallon Community Foundation, who then sends it out to have the wrap manufactured. The sponsor does get a little space for a logo or their name. So right now it's we have 2 that are sponsored by companies, and the other 3 are sponsored by individuals. And they get a little shout out on the side. We had a few who said, "No, I want my logo right on the front," and I was like, "It's not a billboard."
Yeah.
So the history gets put up front, but they do get a little shout out there.
Thank you, because I didn't know that much about the foundation. I wanted to make sure that was being told. Thank you, John.
Yep. The foundation is the way that we
Make it
earmark
work.
that as a
Make it work.
charitable contribution. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you with that. And new business, I'd like to welcome our new Commissioner Hernandez. Would you like to talk about you, Art?
Talk about myself? Certainly. My name is Arturo Hernandez. I go by Art. I have been living in O'Fallon for about 2.5 years. Moved from Jefferson City, lived in Jefferson City for 15 years. For 10 of those years, I was on the Historic Preservation Commission for the city of Jefferson. I was chair for the commission for 2 years. We worked very much hand in hand with the State Historic Preservation Commission. I was fortunate that the director of the State HPC was Jane Beadham, who was the wife of Judge John Beadham. And so I'm an attorney. Let me get that out of the way before everybody else throws tomatoes at me.
I don't remember that on your application.
Yes, exactly.
Can we revote?
I kept it on the very bottom where people ignore at the very end of the webpage. So my undergraduate degree is in anthropology. So that is really kind of, I'm one of those dabblers in that I stay abreast with a lot of anthropology work. I am a contributing society member for a number of anthropology, the American Anthropology Association, the Biblical Anthropology Society. I do spend a lot of time reading and going down rabbit holes on Friday nights and Saturday nights once my kids are asleep and my wife has gotten tired of me. But I have a very passionate desire to learn more and more about the history of where I live, because it influences not only the community, but it influences what my family is going to experience and the people. I grew up in Texas, so I'm not a native Missourian, but my wife is. So that's how I ended up in Missouri. I spent, like I said, I spent a number of years in Jefferson City. We spent a lot of time, as many of you know, one of the unique things about the Historic Preservation Commission in Jefferson City, and I do not see that this on this agenda, is we were actually part of the demolition process, the building's demolition process. So on a monthly basis, excuse me, one of the big things that we did as commissioners was we were allowed to evaluate and provide input in, excuse me, it's been a long day, input on demolition applications for the city because of the number of historic buildings. We spent about 3 years of my time on the commission revamping and drafting the ordinance in regards to the Historic Preservation Commission. And we increased our ability to put ourselves on a similar level as zoning and planning, in the sense that we had a not so much a veto vote, but we had the power to cause the city council to take our recommendations and our evaluations, present them to the public in regards to the reason for either demolition or modification of a number of buildings. The other thing we spent a lot of time on was historic National Registry. We spent some time, my last year on the commission, working towards zoning, historic zoning, grants and permissions from the state of Missouri and from the National Historic Preservation Council. We consistently, as historians, were involved in trying to increase the knowledge and the excitement about the history of our community. One of the things we had tried to plan with a number of communities in the St. Louis, St. Charles County area was to possibly, this was one of our brainchild, it was a brainchild of ours that never came to fruition. I believe it's still in the talking stages, but we wanted to do historical reenactments and involve the river, because the river system, at least for Jefferson City, was so vital to bringing everything into the community and into the area in the 1800s. Without the river, Jefferson City didn't exist.
It's true.
So there was a lot of talk of especially during the 4th of July celebration, Jefferson City has a huge, second largest 4th of July celebration in the Midwest, involving all of the communities, all the counties, and all the cities along the river, the Missouri River, to reenact different stages and different locales in different time periods of the people and the events that happened that brought and grew central Missouri into the area that it is now. And I think that's something that I think is still important, not just for central Missouri, but for all the communities in Missouri, especially around the river, because we forget how vital. There were very few roads, and the roads that were available were not safe at all. And without the river, Missouri, and frankly, most of the United States would not have grown west. They talk about the wagon trails and the Oregon Trail and so forth, but they completely forget about the Missouri River, the Sabine, the saline rivers, and all the importance that those rivers, not just for transportation, but for agriculture and just the growth of communities along the rivers. And I think that's something that, O'Fallon could probably benefit from as well. So I look forward to learning more about this community and being a part of this commission.
Well, welcome. I really appreciate what you had to offer. You talk when you talk about Missouri, Texas was a big part of Missouri.
It was?
Most everybody here, even some of our people around here, they actually went down the Mexican War. They fought the Mexican War down there. They were Texan, the Austins and
Yes.
a lot of these people here from Missouri went down to Texas and helped found it and had some fights, and they did everything. And when you talk Jeff City, the river is very important. We really don't have the river here, but we have the people that help. You had Pettis, and you had Alexander, and you had Samuel Keithley, which I think our May meeting, his ancestor will be here speaking. They were all important to Jeff City, the development of the state of Missouri. We had our founding father, which was Arnold Krekel, which was the Black College. So there's so much here.
Right.
And when it comes to the education system, that's what I'm just getting into. We had, you had the Healds. I mean, that's another part. We had so many people here that was developed our education system. People don't realize it. We wouldn't have an education system for these people here, and then they went westward. It's. Go ahead, John.
So first, as a comment, my first comment is you sound like our kind of history nerd, so welcome. I think you will find us simpatico in regards to passion for history. And the next is a question. On a scale of 100 to 1,000,000, how much better is O'Fallon than Jeff City? I mean, it's only been 2 years.
So I have not experienced 4th of July O'Fallon except for the carnival, which my kids love and is much better than Jefferson City. But I have to say that the fireworks, that's probably the only thing I really liked about Jeff City was the fireworks, because when the fireworks went off, my kids were looking at that and not looking at me, and I was taking a nap.
We need to make a note to the Parks Department to amp up their fireworks.
But as far as the ability to just enjoy everything, O'Fallon is fantastic. My kids love the schools here. My wife enjoys the traffic. She grew up in Perryville, so she loves traffic. I grew up in San Antonio, so I love traffic too.
But you'll love our celebration. Did you go to our celebration of lights, which is nice fireworks? They're really great over the Lake Wetzel, and then the opening of the fort and the Hill Home.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
very nice. Yeah.
We did.
Great.
We did.
Anything else that we need to talk about?
DAR?
Oh yeah, DAR. Sorry, you're right. Exactly. Yes. On April 27th, Sunday, at 1 o'clock, there will be a dedication at Fort Zumwalt and a dedication at the Heald House. And it is going to be, it's a DAR dedication. It's their 250 marker dedication because we are going toward our, in 2026, America will be 250 years old. And I believe the Parks Department will probably send out something on that because it's going to be a bigger event than what I'm talking about right now.
I think so. They actually, the lady from the Carolyn Close chapter, she did a presentation at our council meeting last week, was it last Thursday, about DAR and about the marker presentation. So the Parks Department has been working very closely with them, and I think they're going to make it a pretty big shindig.
You know, on this too, I was going to do a run-up since the Fort Zumwalt 1799 the house there was built. I was going to hit the Methodist church schools. There's one in Winsville and there's one here. The churches, because they were actually started out of that building. So I was going to get them a flyer.
Well, we're expecting a lot of dignitaries from the DAR, state regent, vice regent, and so it's going to be a crowded event, but it's going to be a very beneficial event for the city. And it does work in real well with the 250 anniversary and even my education committee, which Art, I'd like your assistance with.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, that is going to be a big, you know, if anybody here that went to the opening of the fort when they redid the fort and brought all the Zumwalts in, and they brought SAR, and that was really that was really, really neat.
There is going to be invitations going out to any Zumwalt or Heald family members that we can find, which I know of several.
Right, so it's just going to be a big event, and we do not have a meeting because we don't have meetings on election days. So we will not have a meeting, so there will be a reminder, go back out on the 27th. If nothing else,
So May meeting will be the first Tuesday,
yes.
and I have talked to the Keithleys, Jim Keithley, he's supposed to be coming,
Okay,
Keithley Plantation.
and he'll
He
be,
lives next door to me, so he better come.
Go over with a bat.
and if nobody knows where the Keithley Plantation is, it was up there where Schnucks is, part of that pier, and the Schnucks up here on the hill.
Okay, on Veterans Memorial.
Yes,
Yeah, Veterans Memorial. In fact, the Sage Cemetery was next to the Keithley.
Okay.
it went forever.
Yeah, and beyond, and then Mervyn Keithley, which was his son, that was there where Schnucks is, that is his cabin where the museum is. So there's a lot of history there that we haven't heard and talked about in these
He
speak.
said he got a fabulous picture he was bringing,
Okay,
painting.
all right.
From what, I don't know, but he's gonna bring some painting.
A lot of our early settlers around here before the town, you know, they were all 300 acres or whatever. They were all revolutionary families. So that's why, but then the town was in the middle, but all these people, you know, came into town. So with that, nothing else? Anybody have anything?
I just got something, Rick. So we're not meeting in April? Because
will
April,
not meet on April.
April 1st is the Tuesday. The election day is not till the 8th, correct?
Well, let me look here.
If there's not an election going on the first,
won't meet.
that day, then that's really why we don't meet on,
The 1st, because it's always, yeah.
Yeah, I think the election is the 8th, so the 1st shouldn't conflict with anything.
Is that election the 8th?
Election day is the first Tuesday after the first Monday, so since the first Monday isn't
It's
until
the
April
7th.
7th.
Okay, okay. That makes sense then.
so.
All right. So we will have a meeting. In April.
Except your bylaws say all meetings will be held on the first Tuesday of every month except for July and months when an election is held, typically April and November. I think we can get around that though, since it's not the first Tuesday, but technically it sounds like April.
Yeah,
and November.
technically, yeah.
Is there a comma in there?
Oh, we got a lawyer on staff.
It says, well, all meetings will be held on the first Tuesday of every month, comma, except for July and months when election is held, comma, typically April and November, beginning at 6 p.m.
So I think you're good.
Yeah, we'll have a meeting then.
We just got dangerous. That's all I want to say.
Okay,
And it'll be in your permanent record.
yeah. So April 1st, we will have a meeting. And then that's good to know because I actually, every time I think of April, I just think of election time. It's just normal for me, you know, but.
Well,
Okay.
this year, we only have to worry about April.
Correct. Because last year we had 3.
Yeah, last
Because there was a special, there was a,
We
yeah.
had the municipal, the primary, and the general.
No, there was another,
So,
okay. All right. Nobody have anything else? Anybody have anything else? All right, with all that, we're closed. Good night.
I don't think there was nearly.